Wait, let me go to Nancy. Nancy calling us from Iowa. Hey, Nancy. Nancy, you with us? I don't have Nancy. Wow, I'm not doing well here today on the phones. Let me go to Don. Don calling us in Oklahoma. Hey, Don.
Hello there. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure thing.
About 4 years ago, I invented a product for the power companies, and of course, I sunk everything I had in it, and got to the point. I went through all the process, the lawyers, the patents, and all that, and it just kind of went stagnant for a while. But I continued on. We got in financial difficulties, and we finally worked our way back up out of it, and but anyway, it's finally I've got a pretty good, substantial contract with the power company to supply product, and the money that I earn off of that, I would like to see my kids and my grandkids get.
Okay.
Now, I don't know how to set this up to where, we'll make it. My wife and I, we've been married 31 years. We'll make it. And this money is considered to me as extra money.
Okay.
And I would like to, I don't know if you can. I'd like for it to wind up in their hands and not ours.
Right. Well, here's the thing. It's a little bit easier to get it to your children than it is your grandchildren. I'm talking about taxes now. To get it to your children than it is your grandchildren. If you set up a trust, and that'll make it easier yet to get it to both. But here's what you have to do. So you've got to set up a trust. Now, the ideal situation would be an irrevocable trust. I haven't set an irrevocable trust up since probably mid-'90s, early 90s. They're easy. They're not too difficult to set up, and they have great tax advantages, but they're irrevocable, and I don't particularly like that. But that's a possibility too. But if you set up a trust, you've got to make. How many children do you have, Don?
I've got two.
Okay.
And I've got the best son-in-law a man could ever ask for.
Mm.
And so, I mean, I want him in on it too. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I want my daughter, my son, and my son-in-law, and okay. I've got 4 grandkids. So
here's the thing, Don. So you can set up a trust where you and your wife, of course, are trustees, and your children are trustees as well, or co-trustees. In my opinion, the ideal situation is that they're co-trustees. Your grandchildren can be successor trustees, or they could be co-trustees too, but it's a little difficult because they're probably young. And the monies that you receive, you can put into the trust on a regular basis. As that money's coming in, you just deposit it into the trust. And here, so the trust is just a legal document. It's not actually. So all it means is that you would have the Mr. and Mrs. the Don and whatever your wife's name is, your last name, and family trust, and you would regularly contribute to it. And it could be in a bank. In other words, it can be a checking account. It can be a savings account. It can be an investment account where it is just named in the name of the trust. So you would give the bank the trust document they would see, and the title of your bank statements for that account or your brokerage account or whatever would just say the name of you guys with the initials for trustee next to it, just to show that it's titled in the trust. All the money goes into the trust. All the money stays in the trust. Here's the thing. Then you develop a triggering mechanism. A triggering mechanism can be anything from the death of your cat to your death, which is what it usually is. And all a triggering mechanism says that upon your death, so the Lord now calls you both home, you and your wife. So the second one of you, the trust gets just dissolved and distributed to the remaining trustees. So there is no death. Nobody died. I mean, there is no inheritance. I'm sorry. There is no inheritance because nobody really died. The death, the second one of you to be called home with the Lord is just a triggering mechanism. It's not, it's not why they're getting the money. That's the loophole part. So there is no death. So if there is no death, there is no inheritance tax. It's just this trust dissolves. And upon it being dissolved, the money gets distributed. So it avoids the inheritance tax. So that's probably the best thing you can do. The other thing you could do is you could set it up in several or one charitable trusts. And in that case, the monies would go in on a regular basis to the charitable trust. And the charitable trust would pay income to you while you're alive because that's the law. It has to. And then upon your death, it would continue to pay income to whoever the income beneficiary is. And that would also avoid taxes. So on that money. So there is, and of course, at the death of that income beneficiary, that money would go to the Lord's work. So that's another thing you can do. So there's a couple ways to do it. If I've confused you, which I probably have, and if I have, call this. This is why I try to tell people, call the foundation. That's the ministry that we're about. The AFA Foundation, call the foundation, and we're happy to walk you through it and try to help put some of those planning things, get the documents, begin to prepare those, go with you to the lawyer with those documents if you want, or get them to the lawyer. You really need to have a lawyer in the final stages of putting these kinds of instruments in place because everybody's state law is a little bit different, and you got to make sure that it meets all the law of the state of Oklahoma. That's important as well. So you still need a will. You still need a power of attorney. You still need some other documents. But that may be one of the best ways you can do it.
That's helped me a lot because I've talked to people that, and you start getting a bunch of false information, and I hate false information.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just now starting, by the time I die, there could be a bunch of money there,
Right.
And I want to do whatever the law says to do, but
right.
I want to do whatever I can do for my children.
Well, you take advantage of the law. Take advantage of the law. The law has certain rules, and you can't take advantage of it unless you plan now. So
okay.
I think I'm glad you're doing that, and you're on the right track. And please be careful when you're talking to people. And again, if you are and you have a question, call the foundation. They'll get you to me, or they'll answer the question for you. But if somebody's trying to sell you something, a product that is going to be something that is going to be a product that you would put this money in and lock it up or whatever they tell you about it. Don't do anything like that. You don't need to. You shouldn't do it. So that's a red flag. So just go through the planning, get the paperwork in order. There's no real hurry. You can put the money aside in anything right now, and then when the documents are established and set up, then you just move it over there. But I would get started at least on the planning. And
that's why I give you a call.
I'm glad you did, Don, and I appreciate it. And you know what? You're also a testimony to young people listening out there that perseverance is so important. And I know you know that firsthand, Don, but it gives an opportunity for me to do a little coachable moment with the young people. It's all about perseverance. And I, like you, have two of the greatest son-in-laws a man could want. And, my one son-in-law is, working hard at 3 jobs. He works full time and he's trying to start a business. But, it's all about perseverance. I keep telling him,